you both for taking the time to be here and giving us feedback. So we really appreciate it. I fair warning, I have been up all night. My friend had a seizure last night, so I'm currently in the parking lot of the hospital. So I'm a little bit tired, but I hope I'm comprehensible today.
Well, you look great, and we wouldn't have been able to tell, so
No,
Mm,
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
I had no
sorry that
idea.
that happened. Yeah.
it's a lot
That's
scary.
youth for you, eh? Like,
Sorry?
that's youth for you.
Oh,
Yeah. And a lot of coffee.
There's no way I'd be here. There's no chance.
Yeah, I got sleep and I'm wearing makeup and you still look way better than me. So
Same here. Yeah. Full 8 hours and makeup. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Uh, so just give me a second. So I've gone in and also added in some slides based off of previous suggestions too, because I thought they were very valuable. So hopefully they will come across well this time. I there are like 3 slides where I've designed them myself, not my designer, so you'll probably be able to tell. But we will have our designer designing them. So I'll get started now. So I was on my period one day, and felt frustrated as I threw yet another pad into the garbage. Why was I having to pick between my well-being and the well-being of the planet? When I looked into it, these products that we're merely using for 4 to 8 hours sit in the landfills for over 500 years. And there's over 20 billion of them, and there's single wrap packaging that end up in the landfills every single year just in North America. In addition to that, not only are these products bad for the planet, but they're also not that great for our body too. They contain harmful carcinogens such as lead, arsenic, PFAS, dioxins. You might have heard of the recent study that came out by UC Berkeley about like a month ago that showed that these menstrual products had lead and arsenic. This is a problem that 50% of the world's population faces, and that's why we decided that it was time for a revolution. At Aruna, we're revolutionizing the way we manage our menstrual health with compostable, toxin-free, inclusive menstrual products that are made out of natural fibers from local plant byproducts. So why local plant byproducts, you might be wondering, or what do I mean by that? Well, what we do is we collect agricultural residuals. So right now, farmers and food manufacturers are having to spend money to either get rid of their waste or burn it. And so what we're doing is we're taking those and putting them through our proprietary process to extract fibers and turn them into these compostable menstrual products. What's really cool about our proprietary process of fiber extraction is that not only can we or rather, we can use virtually any type of plant-based material. So think of corn, soy, canola, hemp, all the way to materials like orange peels that we can get from juicing companies. And so we're able to take all of that and put it through our process to extract these clean and safe fibers that we can use for our menstrual pads. And what's also really cool about these fibers and the way that we create our pads is that they're able to compost in just 30 days. So our competitors that are, and specifically our sustainable competitors, either claim to be biodegradable or compostable. Biodegradable, as you probably know, is a very underregulated term and just means that it can be broken down by a microorganism, but without the guarantee of an environmentally friendly output. So it can take decades to break down, or it can break down into microplastics. And then our compostable competitors come with the fine print that they can only be broken down in very, very specific conditions that don't exist in most compost facilities today. We've actually worked directly with the compost manufacturers such as GFL, so the bright green trucks that you see everywhere. And so we have actually designed a product that is compostable both industrially and at home. And every time we talk about these fibers, we have people, specifically people that have had children, talk about, hey, there was so much diaper waste when we were using diapers. Could these fibers be used for diapers? And so we've tested it out, and we see our fibers expanding into diapers, into maternity pads, into medical PPE. So the potential impact that we can have to circularize these products is massive. So this, to no one's surprise, is a massive industry. It's a $211 billion global market for the disposable hygiene product market. And even just the global menstrual product market is $63.2 billion. And we're going to be tapping into this and starting with menstrual products specifically because there's a very unique business opportunity for us in the sense that it's a policy-driven marketplace. Right now, there's a lot of federal mandates, not just in Canada, but throughout the world coming into play that are mandating menstrual products to be provided in different facilities, such as, for employers to provide menstrual products to their employees, school to provide menstrual products to their students, and sort of across the board. And so we're taking advantage of this, and what we're starting with is a menstrual pad subscription for businesses. And so with this, what the businesses will benefit from is being able to provide clean and sustainable menstrual products to their users, so the students or employees. They'll be able to also meet the mandate requirements. But for us, what we'll be able to do is generate ongoing revenue much faster, and then also increase brand and product awareness for the larger D2C market for when we do launch into that market too. Right now, what we're seeing in this world is that as sustainability increases, the functionality decreases. So there's a lot of products that are relatively high functional, such as the always disposable plastic products. But of course, they're not very sustainable and they're not clean either. They contain a lot of those harmful chemicals. But then on the other end of it, we're seeing some more of those compostable menstrual products, but the functionality of them decreases massively. We've actually put in a significant amount of time and engineered the fiber, put in the engineering for the fiber science to make sure that our pads are not only as functional as the Always product, but also more functional. And some of the user feedback that we've gotten is that they're able to use these products in a much more effective way compared to other sustainable products on the market. They're more easier to use, but also because of the natural fibers, they're more softer and more comfortable to use. And I think this was something that we were really excited about. But in addition to that, we've also had a lot of, and actually we weren't expecting to get this feedback because we didn't think people would notice, but we've put in a lot of effort into increasing the thermal regulation of the pad. So what this means is that it's more breathable, and when it's more breathable, then there's less temperature buildup and less microbial growth. And how this came across in the user feedback is almost everyone noticed that there was a massive decrease in odor. Like they were essentially saying that these products were odorless after use. And so that was really exciting for us to see. In terms of our IP, we definitely plan to continue growing the technology and improving it to stay ahead of the market. But right now, in terms of our IP, we have several different filed as either provisionals or PCTs. So we have our fiber extraction protected, the menstrual pad construction protected, the biofilm, which is our compostable leak-proof layer protected that we've developed ourselves, as well as biochar for hygiene products, which is something that we're currently evaluating. And then, of course, we've trademarked across Canada, US, and the UK as well. So we've been sort of approaching this strategically in the sense that we file everything as provisionals first, and then convert them into PCTs just before the provisionals expire, just so that we have a longer amount of time to make sure that our technology is fully developed before we file it as the full application. And with the seed round, we're going to be filing several of these as the full application. We're protecting in North America, EU, China, India, and Japan, because this is where a majority of the manufacturing happens and a majority of where the companies that have the largest market shares exist. And then in addition to that, we're keen to explore leveraging the IP for growth using partnerships. So we've had people reach out and being interested in white labeling, co-branding. So kind of similar to imagine like Intel Inside, or if you're an outdoors person, that seeing Garmin on anything is great for the product. So similar to that, we anticipate in the future that will be powered by Aruna fibers, and this will mean that it's a safe and clean product that is good for your body, good for the planet, and works really well. Also, we've had individuals reach out about licensing, and of course, we're going to explore product expansion as well. In terms of regulatory, we've started with menstrual pads specifically instead of tampons, because menstrual pads have a very low barrier to market entry. In Canada, they're not actually regulated as a medical device at all. And in the US and most other places, they're either not regulated or they're regulated as a very low class 1 device. And so what that would mean is that we would just have to make sure that our QMS system is set up, which it is, and that we are self-registered, which we're in the process of doing with the FDA right now. And so this process would allow us to essentially get into the market. Of course, what we're doing is we're kind of going above and beyond what's expected because we don't necessarily agree with the way that they're regulated right now. And so we're making sure that we're testing our pads with dermatologists and gynecologists too. And so we have some of that testing done already. In terms of our revenue model, we're starting this year with the B2B subscription. So using this, the revenue generated, which by the way, we just started. We just got our first couple of purchase orders and started generating revenue, which is exciting. And these purchase orders come from the government of Nova Scotia, local manufacturers, as well as law firms, both in Nova Scotia, and we now have a purchase order from one in the UK too. And since menstrual pads are regulated as the same in Canada and the US, we're able to sell in the in the UK. We're able to sell in the UK, and in addition to that, we have a wait list of over 500 people for this D2C launch. So it's going to be really exciting. And then moving into 2025 and 2026, what we see ourselves growing into is growing into the market. So launching into the D2C market and exploring e-commerce, starting with e-commerce and then exploring retail. And then in 2026, expanding the product line into diapers and incontinence and maternity products, as well as exploring IP licensing too. So we're really excited about this market because we're seeing a lot of interest in this market. Over the years, we've seen exits. Actually, this year we saw an exit from Honeypot at $380 million. And they started this company back in 2019. And so this was a very short turnaround. What was really interesting is the companies that had the biggest exit, so Rail here with 295 and Honeypot were both manufacturers of their own hygiene products. And I think this is really key. And so we're actually doing the same thing. We are the manufacturers of these menstrual products. But beyond that, we see ourselves having a bigger exit because we're also in the field of fibers too. And so none of these companies had their own IP when it came to the material, and we have that, and we can expand beyond just the menstrual products. And so we see our exit being bigger than this. And we know that this is a massive challenge that we've taken on. My background is in engineering, so I've developed several medical devices from concept to market that are now used in over 10 million surgeries annually. And my co-founder is a registered nurse who also understands the clinical necessity and the expectations of these products. But perhaps most importantly, we're both menstruators and understand this market very deeply. In addition to that, we have a whole team of engineers who range from biomedical to environmental to mechanical and chemical. In addition to that, we've grown our marketing team as well. So you can see our social media starting to take off. We're actually launching our podcast today. So if you're interested, you should go have a look at that. And then in addition to that, we have advisors that have a cumulative of over 100 years of experience in this industry and are retired directors from Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and have actually been critical to get us to where we are at the speed that we've gone. In addition to the support of many other people, including accelerators, government organizations throughout North America. So that's why we're raising 2 million to bring Aruna pads to the market. With the 2 million, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bringing on the key people to help us with the operations as we start scaling up and getting our products into the market, growing our marketing channels, as well as scaling up our pilot fiber extraction facility. Thank you for your time. We hope you join our revolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, welcome, John. We know you. Thank you for arriving. No problem at all. We'll just.
My apologies for being late.
That's
I had
okay.
a client that wouldn't shut up.
Oh, as we all have, I'm sure. Okay, but with that, we'll just dive into the feedback on Rashmi's pitch. So perhaps I'll invite Raif to start us off.
Oh, sorry, I think you might be muted.
Thanks. Okay, so first I'll ask some questions and then maybe I'll give some feedback. Is that the order you wanted, Katie? Like, yeah.
You can do it in whichever
Okay.
order you
Yeah.
like. Yeah,
So
we just
maybe
may not
okay.
have. Oh, I'll just
Yeah.
flag that Rashmi may not have enough time to answer each question, but it's great to raise the questions otherwise.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so like talk to me about unit economics. Like what's the margin on something like this? And how
That's
does
a great
yours
question.
like what's the unit economics of the incumbents, the always, whatever, the crappy product, and like other greenwashed ones and you.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have a slide for that, so I might quickly just share my slides one more time
Or like
to
just quick, yeah, like is it better or worse for you?
right now it's so right now it's worse just because we're doing it at a smaller scale. But just generally, so the always products, the pricing for them ranges between like 35 to 45, sometimes 50 cents per pad. The more sustainable products, or the greenwash products range between like 70 cents to $1.30 per product. And how we've priced our product is at $1 per pad. Right now, the landed cost of our pad is about 35 cents per pad.
So you're
Um,
pricing it at a 3x premium to the always.
Yes. Yes. And so we had explored our pricing at a lower cost because we were looking at around like initially 70 cents per pad. Um, and when we did this, one thing that we found was that people were actually unsure about the quality of it. So when they saw the lower price on these pads, they're like, does it work really well? And they were not really sure whether they wanted to buy it or not. And so as we played around with the pricing and started increasing it incrementally to see where they would feel like, this is a product that is actually going to be functional and will work well. And so a dollar per pad was sort of around the range that they were more keen to buy it. And so that's how we ended up at the dollar per pad.
What do you want it to be at scale?
At scale, we would probably want to bring it down to about 70, 80 cents per pad. I think this is sort of the price that,
At scale, you want to be 2x
yeah.
the regular product. Don't you want to be at the same price as the regular product? Why wouldn't you want to be at the same price as the regular product?
Yeah, I guess we would want to be at the same price as the regular product, but I think the reason that and this is just from speaking with someone that has helped us with our pricing strategy, so I could be totally wrong, but what seems to be the trend in the industry right now is that the sustainable products need to be priced higher in order to communicate their value. That's something that
Hmm,
we were told, and so that's sort of what we have been looking at this
yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then how like defensible is the product? Like you have some tech and you talk about patents, but like I yeah, like how maybe yeah, just like a few sentences on like is there someone who can go adjacent or whatever? How confident are you of that?
Yes, that's a great question. So in terms of the technology and sort of the moat that we've built up around us, we have protected uh, not only the fiber extraction process, but the functionality of the product. And so, we've gone in and designed different aspects of the products in terms of like the aperture size, the different combination of fibers going into sort of different layers in the sense of like fiber properties as opposed to source of fibers.
Mhm.
And so we've worked with our IP lawyer to sort of develop that strategy to build up that moat. And we're quite confident that other people are not going to be able to do this just because the development of the fiber extraction process and using these cellulosic fibers to develop a highly functional product has taken us quite a lot of like experts to be involved to develop a product that is as functional as ours is.
Okay. All right, so I don't want to hog the floor, but just like some quick feedback on
Mhm.
so like great, it's like it's I think it's like a you know it's like a solid B plus to begin with, just like some feedback what it would make it like an A for me.
Mhm.
Um So first of all, like there's very little, if anything, on like go to market on how you're gonna execute this. Like you mentioned subscriptions, and then there's some you're doing some bulk orders and direct to consumer. Like that seems like a lot of things happening, and I don't know, like I just didn't hear that. And for a consumer packaged goods company, that's gotta be like the main thing, right?
Mm,
Typically, you look at these companies, they're mostly distribution and marketing people. You look at their organization, right? So
mhm,
that's the main thing they provide. So, and maybe that is like and then um, like at the opening when you kind of did a very short origin story thing, if you could
mm,
tie that to you and your co-founder's background somehow, like your professional background, like
mm,
this whole time I'm like the whole presentation, I was so curious about, okay, who's the team behind this? Because it seems like a great idea. Now I'm like, and there's some tech in there, but so this is all going to become like an execution play. Now I'm like curious, can this team execute? Do they have the background? And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Like especially the co-founder slide, there just
mm.
wasn't enough detail. I really know nothing about you or your co-founder,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So, and for me to get excited about this, I'd have to believe that you're like the, maybe this is a bad example, but like you're the Elon Musk of this.
Okay, sounds
This is
good.
going to be like, yeah, I know it's a polarizing character, but like, it's like,
Totally.
like that you're going to will to existence this thing and it's going to be on shelves and in people's bathrooms and in offices all over the world. Like, you know what I mean? So how does that tie into your background? Yeah, those are the things like unit economics, go to market, and like the team aspect. I really don't like it when the team aspect's at the end because
Okay,
early stage, it's all about the team.
right. You're right.
It's really all about the team. You have like, and I don't mean this, it's just the stage you're in. There's so little to the business in terms of traction and so forth that I'm like, 90% of the bets on the team.
Makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Wonderful feedback. Okay, we'll hand it over to Heather.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'll just try to be additive a little bit because I think some of those same, certainly on the even economics, that would be very helpful. I just want to tell you that you're very authentic, and I like that about you. You smile, you're warm. That's yeah. I just want to tell you that you gave a nice
Thanks, Heather.
presentation, and I liked listening to you. I think what could be more powerful for me was a little bit more on the value proposition. I think you started out with this. I was on my period and I thought about this, but later on, kind of buried, you're using really strong language like it's good for your body and it's good for the planet. And I think if you just start out more powerfully and why are you doing this, it sucks people in a little bit more. And you're going to have a diverse group of investors. Not everybody does have menstruation problems, and so you just want to really suck them in with why you think this is the right investment for them. And when you're powerful about it's because we've got all this sustainability bend. It's gonna be good profit margins, and it's also better for the user. That's kind of really the powerful story behind it. So then building on that, when you got to your user feedback slide, you had so many good things to say, but it was a little bit, it went a little bit long, and I think it was hard to suck out what the benefits were. So again, if you could be
Right.
really powerful about, we've done user testing, these are the testimonials, and just be really clear about, they say it's better, it's odorless, it's this, and just pick out like the key buzzwords that really matter. I think that could just be a bit more powerful. And then when you talked about pricing, it's interesting because you've obviously got a pricing and marketing expert, and that's one side of the equation. I think it would be good to refine your strategy or your thinking around that in the sense of, if you have this ESG bend, you're trying to be good for the planet and good for the humans, and sort of think about that. If you're wanting to get, if you're pricing it as a luxury market, that's a very different bend than an ESG. We're great for everybody product. There is a lot of poverty issues around menstruation, as you would know, and people's access to them and the barriers, which is why it's being mandated. So if you keep it at this price point, yeah, you'll get that corporate, gang. But if you really, what you want to do is actually be this product that's going to be everybody's go-to product, then what you really want to focus on. But our goal is to get it to cost parity, because it's then a household name and it's better for
Yeah,
everybody.
absolutely.
So maybe even if you're in this niche space and you're not at price parity, even if you had a narrative around, and we're going to give net 1%, whatever, back to
Right.
an organization that then deals with menstruation poverty issues, that might just be a compelling ESG package for you. So
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's a really great point.
and then my very last one on your key hires, maybe just add something on the business finance side. I mean,
Sure.
I'm saying this as a CPA, but it's helpful not just to have all techie engineers and marketing people. You do need sort of one little person
Fancy.
that can do all your numbers and crunch them
Totally.
for you. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. But well done. I'm excited about your product too. So
Thank you.
I have 2 teenage daughters that I definitely would buy them and be on a subscription. So there you go.
Amazing. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Heather. Okay, we've got a wrap up feedback. So
Hey,
is there anything else?
I,
Oh, yeah, you want to
yeah,
add,
can I
John?
just, I won't
Absolutely.
chime in on the presentation, obviously, Rashmi. If you can send me that, I'd happily review it and get you any
Absolutely. Thank
thoughts.
you.
So full disclosure, I used to work for Procter and Gamble, not in this sector, but I know that the CPG space fairly well. So on the pricing side, I think I agree with Heather and Raif, but I think
Mhm.
the thought of getting to cost parity is a complete and total utter illusion. So if you were cost parity and maintaining the same margins is an impossibility. It's a scale business.
Mhm.
So my initial thought or my initial comment before Heather's comment was, I think the premium pricing, you want 100% of 1.3% of the market, or some very focused group of people that that value and are willing to sign up for what you're selling, which is beyond just product.
Mhm.
I liked Heather's comments, but actually, it's a bit of the Model 3 versus the Model S. We want a car that's available to more people. If that is the vision, then you would
Mhm.
have to work
Absolutely.
really hard to convince me that you can get to a scale to have price parity at a margin that isn't a fraction of what the global guys are. And if your margin is a fraction of what the global guys are, you don't have any money for marketing. And my perspective would be, at the end of the day, this is a marketing game. So sort of a bit of a catch-22 in there. But,
Yeah.
and sorry, last piece to add, I am wildly, so I would put you in I'm looking for a large, dominant market share of a small segment of the market.
Mhm.
And so I'm less concerned about the always of the world. I'm much more concerned about the other 4 or 5 or 6 very similar, ESG, health focused,
Mhm.
organic, products. So
Mhm.
I would want to hear, like, say, hey, I buy into the potential here.
Mhm.
The YU, I'm not at all concerned about YU versus always, unless you are going for price parity. But if you're going sort of specialized market, I would be okay. But YU versus the other 4 or 5 pitches I've heard that have similar concepts in them. And I think you probably have a good answer around, fiber and IP, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great feedback. Thank you for jumping in, John. I didn't want to force you to dive in, but that's great feedback. And I will make sure that you have the recording right after the session once it's downloaded by Zoom. And with that, Bronwyn, we're gonna invite you just to share your deck and dive right in.